Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Realtor Nation podcast. My name is Ian Hoover, and I am the host of this show, and I'm ready to bring to you, the Realtor Nation, a show to help you improve your business. Today, we're talking about digital marketing. It's very important in our business. How to make the phone ring, how to make your phone ring all day long with leads. There's so many other companies out there. There's so many sales calls. What's the best route to go? How much money do you really need to invest to get a decent return on investment? Is Zillow or Realtor.com the best way to go, or should I just be doing Facebook marketing? We're going to answer a lot of these questions today, and I'm bringing on an expert in the field. His name's Jeffrey Brogger. He's with the STEEZY company. They're a digital marketing firm that focuses on brokerages, and he's rolled out a new product that focuses on a real estate agent with a lower budget than a big-time brokerage. So we're going to bring Jeff on here in a minute. He's going to discuss with us about his solutions. You got to let him talk about what he's doing, but we also get into things like CRMs, and just ask a bunch of questions along with some other motivational things for you to keep you motivated, keep you focused on the task at hand, and keep you being the best real estate agent that you can be in your business. So without further ado, let's bring on Jeff. All right, and I'd like to welcome to the show Jeff Brogger. Welcome, Jeff.
Thank you. Glad to be here. I'm doing well. Yeah, it's Friday today, so if you're listening to this in the future, just know that we're close to the weekend when we're recording this, and life is good.
Life is always good on Friday, right?
That's right.
Where are you located at?
I'm in Huntington Beach, California.
Oh, so you're in a much nicer weather destination than I am. I'm in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So
Okay.
A little different. Although we've had some nice weather lately. It's starting to get a little hot, though.
Got it. Yeah, summertime's coming.
Well, you know what? I'm going to just start off by having you tell us a little bit about yourself, and I like to start with your journey. So not only where you're at right now, but what got you to where you're at within the digital marketing world.
Absolutely. So really, before I got into marketing, it all started with sales. So if you're watching this as far as a video afterward, then you might see some trophies behind me. I started my sales career with Cutco Cutlery and vector marketing. So really, right out of high school, I learned that instead of doing a restaurant job, I could do sales, make phone calls, show up to an appointment, and literally the sky was the limit for how much I could make. I'm not limited to $16 an hour or $30 an hour with if you include tips at a restaurant. I could make, $100 an hour or more. And so really it was an amazing breakthrough for me early on to realize wow, I can leverage my time so much more effectively if I can learn some skills. And so that's where it all started. I started doing the sales thing, but I learned a 70-year-old sales process. Real estate's very similar, where there's so many old sales processes that are in place now, so many things that are taught to us when we're new reps and new agents. And it's go to the top of your Rolodex and start with start calling and things like that, where yes, they are effective eventually, but they aren't the most effective or efficient use of your time nowadays with technology and with other aspects of marketing that you can do. So really, through personal experience, I was able to understand the tedious pain points of a sales rep. And at the end of the day, a realtor is a sales representative. You're transferring your enthusiasm from yourself to your buyer or your seller, and you're also consulting them and walking them through the process over, a lot of times over a year or longer is the sales cycle. So before I got into marketing, I got into sales. I just wanted to really paint that picture. And then when I did get out of college, I then founded my own marketing agency because I grew up with social media. I knew early on that Facebook was running ads starting in 2010 when I was a sophomore in college, and I was listening to podcasts, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. It's not TV commercials, it's on social media now. And so I just kind of grew up with that. And in college, I was using social media very organically to get people to show up to events, whether it was me being the president of a club and getting, 40 to 100 students to show up to a certain event that we're promoting or whatever it was. I was using these algorithms and this technology to market online. And so when I got out of college, I was like, wow, I could use this to help sales reps to generate leads and like to help automate some of the things that I hated when I was a sales rep. And so once I kind of embarked on that journey, real estate was my first choice, and I chose to immediately niche into real estate. Real estate had always been there for me. I took all the real estate classes and was this close to getting my license at 18. And then, life took a turn. I ended up selling Cutco instead. But I have an investment property still to this day. It was willed to me at 16 years old, and I'm continuing to build up like my investment property empire. And then I, now own a marketing and real estate technology company too. So, real estate's just always been there. And today I own STEEZY.digital, which is a marketing agency, and STEEZY means style with ease. So that was my first marketing agency. Really wanted to help top 1% brokers to just look better online, right? We wanted to just upgrade all their digital marketing, make them look super professional. And ultimately, what matters most to a top 1% broker? They care about having someone on the phone that's a qualified prospect. That's all they care about. So if we could tee up more qualified sales conversations for our top broker clients, they would take it from there. And that was a win. So that was really the focus. And through that process, we developed an amazing system that we now have today through realnurture.io. So realnurture.io is essentially the individual agent model of STEEZY.digital's system. Because what we found is that not everyone can afford to have a marketing agency run all your campaigns for you, pay a retainer plus ad spend, and not everyone can afford that. So a lot of individual agents came to us and they're like, we would love to have this in our business. How can we do it? And that's how Real Nurture came about. It really is it's a less expensive, kind of like similar to like technology as a service or software as a service model, where it's just like a monthly subscription and you get to license all of our intellectual property, all of our knowledge, all of our templates and training and things that we've really developed with top brokers. You get to use like all the top broker stuff, but you don't have to have us manage it because we teach you how to manage it. And so that's really where we're at today is I have these two verticals in the real estate industry, both, helping realtors. And we do have, some custom lending campaigns and, we do have some other things out there, but, that pretty much is the story from start to finish and then, where we're heading.
Well, I can tell you're a salesman because you were able to very detailed paint that picture of where you came from, what got you started. I'm a little bummed that you didn't get your real estate license. You were that close to doing. You decided to sell Cutco instead, which the funny thing is, I can't tell you how many Cutco reps over the years I've probably just abused because I wasn't interested in their product whatsoever. I mean, I just,
right.
For some reason, the real estate industry is like their number one industry they try and sell to. I've never once even thought about purchasing their products, but they just called me all the time, and I became rude to them. I feel bad about it actually, but that's a really tough first job to get into. I know that the opportunities are endless and the sales possibility is there, but that is about as hard of a sales job as you could have because you got to understand that from the realtor side of it, we get sales calls all day long. We get Zillow calling us, CoStar, LoopNet calling us, just all kinds of market with us, do this. So since you're kind of an expert in the space, I'm going to be picking your brain a little bit today.
Sure.
And, my brokerage specifically, we are, we hired a marketing firm last year. To be honest with you, we didn't see that much success from what they were doing with our marketing. So we actually took that money we were investing and we bought some software for our agents, which has been a pretty nice return on investment. And with the money that's left over, we're now starting to do our own Facebook and Instagram ad campaigns, which we are actually, I don't even know what I'm doing that much, but I'm getting a little bit better result than what I was getting paying a marketing firm to
wow.
do marketing, and they were, I'm not going to say names, but they were a very big online marketing firm. Maybe I was just too small for them and they weren't spending the time because of my budget was too small, which might be, where somebody like yourself might fit in. But let's start with why. Actually, tell me a little bit about your Cutco career and what it was like trying to sell to realtors, and how you had to combat the fact that we probably just hung up on you and were rude to you and everything else.
Sure. And with that, the average Cutco rep lasts 2 weeks. So the retention rate is super low, but I was able to stay for 6 years. And when I became a sales manager, that was one of my big focuses, was longer retention rate. So, getting over objections and slamming the phone and doing all that, it's so important to focus on actions rather than results. And so a lot of what I learned early on in Cutco, I still use today because they were huge on personal development. That's why sales representatives can get paid more than anyone else in the world, but that's why you also have to continue to reinvest in yourself. Listen to the top speakers and coaches in the world, not only motivation, but education of actual scripts that are working in your industry. And so within the Cutco world, I didn't sell to realtors because that's only one vertical. That's called the closing gift consultant. A lot of Cutco reps at the higher levels do get into that. I was on residential, and I did fair and show, and I did, basically, like, I would do group presentations, individual presentations. But for me, it was actually more similar to a real estate agent going on a listing appointment, where I wasn't really like slam on the phone calling realtors as much. I was focusing on referrals. I started with my network. And then from there, on every single appointment, I asked for and generated somewhere between 5 and 15 new warm leads on every appointment, whether I sold them or not, because I developed such rapport and such a connection with them. And I aligned them with my goals outside of knives and cookware and garden stuff. The first page of my prospectus, after 10 or 15 minutes of rapport where I didn't even open the prospectus, the first page was my goals, very clearly laid out, color-coded in different categories of my life, physical, financial, all. And I would share this with them. I would ask their permission. Hey, is it okay if I share these with you? This is actually the reason why I do this. And it would humanize me so much more than just the average rep. Due to me learning these skills from guys like Hal Elrod and, all these amazing reps that came before me, and then speakers outside of Cutco, I learned these processes to go through prior to ever even selling, quote unquote. Because then when they're sold on you, now they're asking themselves, how can I help this person, right? And I think so much of that is applicable in any sales capacity. You need to, demonstrate that you care about them, but you also kind of need to get them invested in you, and you need to get them to kind of care about you and your success. And so when I would show up, I would spend so much time on rapport. I would outline my goals, and then I would get into the scripted sales process that, by the way, like, this is 70 years in the making, this manual that I was following. So all of the like copywriting and the sales stuff that had been done prior, I just followed the script, honestly. And the first 13 appointments, I went 0 for 13. I did terrible, probably because I sounded like a robot or whatever, but it was because I was following that script so to the T that eventually it started to sound more normal, more natural. I memorized it. I made it my own. And then I was able to incorporate my personality, build rapport, get the script across, and go through the closing process with complete comfort and ease. But that just came with time and consistency. And, that's really, if we were to boil sales success down to one word, I would say that word is consistency. Would you agree?
I would, I definitely would agree. Consistency is most important, because I will tell you that, like, you could take any part of sales, let's just break it down in the real estate world. If you want to call expired listings, you don't have to be the best expired listing caller in the world. But if you call all the time, you call every single day for that hour a day and put that time away, guess what? You're going to be successful. because you're going to get better. You're going to improve. You're going to eventually find that person that wants your help. Yeah, you're going to get a lot of people saying no and hanging up the phone on you, maybe worse than no, some bad words, whatever. But, that's it's very important to be consistent in any sales model. And I love that you said that. So let's get into real estate marketing. Now, if a lot of our show is kind of designed into people that might have hit a wall and need to take their business to the next level, and also brand new agents that are kind of just getting started, because our industry is very, very difficult to get off the ground. They say if you make it to the 5-year mark, you're going to have a 20-year career, but it's less than 90. It's around 90% of people don't make it to that 5-year mark.
Right.
What can an average agent who maybe doesn't have a huge marketing budget do to get some paid lead generation compared to, because obviously we do videos and we do all the free stuff we can do, but what are some of the small things we can do to maybe spend a small marketing budget online and get real results?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. And really that's where Real Nurture comes in. That's the entire reason why we created that system, is we wanted to help the average agent be able to go above and beyond their sphere of influence and just grinding it away and actually get some consistent new opportunities coming into their business. Like every single month, boom, day after day, just like a new phone number, email, a first name, people that are interested in buying and selling. It's really nice to be able to have that consistency and then also to scale it when you're ready. So that's the whole reason why we created it. And just to give you an example, if an agent were to spend, say, $500 a month, if you've gotten a couple deals a year for the last couple of years and you're ready to like scale it up, that should not be outside the budget for what you're doing. And if you were to total, I'm talking out the door, like no other additional costs, $500 a month, then what that would most likely generate, depends on the market, you'd be getting about 2 new opportunities a day. So 2 new leads, first name, last name, phone number, and email. And that would be through our system, finding these leads through our proven ads on social media, online, and then having them fill out a form that opts in and gives you consent to follow up with them, right? And then they go through the process of seeing your brand a few times, and bam, then the lead is integrated with your CRM. So for that little, you could consistently have 2 new opportunities every day, about 60 a month.
So for $500, you could on average get 50 to 60 contacts a month. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
That sounds too good to be true. And we get pitched these things all the time of like, oh, you spend this much money and you're going to make, you're going to get this many leads. Obviously the big ones are Zillow, Realtor.com, all those, specific real estate companies that do. But you're saying for $50 a day, you under $50 a day, you could generate. Yeah. And
I can break it down for you too. So I know it sounds too good to be true, because when you pay Zillow $150 per lead, you're like, what do you mean I'm going to get 60 for 5? I should get 3 or 4. The reason we're able to do this is because we help you skip the most expensive part of marketing and advertising. The most expensive, the most frustrating, and the most overwhelming part of marketing and advertising. Sorry, this is my dog howling. She howls anytime a fire truck goes by. So
no, don't worry about it.
It's going to last for another 10 seconds or so. The most expensive part, it's really drawing out my point. I love it. The most expensive part is trial and error. Trial and error. That's when you're throwing things at the wall hoping they stick, but 90% of them don't. You just wasted money. We help agents skip that because we've already, for the last 3 years with top brokers, been spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on marketing campaigns testing what works. And then we found it. We give you the exact template so you can flick it on immediately.
So what does work is what I'm asking you. Okay, let us behind the curtains a little bit. What's the secret sauce? What actually works? Is it something that, is it a Facebook ad? Is it, are we targeting specific audiences? And how does that break down? And then what percentage? So if we're spending $500, obviously a cut of that's going to you. So how much is being spent on the actual ads versus how much is going in your pocket?
Great question. So, and this is to remind everyone, this is the real nurture model, right? Realnurture.io. Because on the STEEZY.digital side, we go, far above and beyond this. We have a marketing retainer plus ad spend. But for Real Nurture, we want to make it super cost effective. So in order to automatically generate and follow up with leads, we have a full follow-up system once they're generated. It's $199 per month for the technology with ongoing updates and new templates. Every couple months when Facebook updates their compliance and everything changes, it's like, all right, here's the new template. That's $199. So you're spending $300, the majority of that $500, on your own brand. And that's helping you to get impressions in your local market. Because with those 50 to 60 leads, you also had thousands of impressions in your local market that didn't opt in, but they saw you. And, the secret sauce comes down to each little detail in the funnel. Because we help each agent set up a personalized funnel for them. It launches through their own Facebook page. We're not like generating a farm of leads and then divvying them out to 5 different agents, the same lead 5 times or any of that. We actually help you set up a funnel in your own Facebook advertising. So Facebook ad to Messenger, real estate chatbot. We also get the SMS opt-in so we can nurture through and follow up through SMS text, Facebook Messenger, and email. And that's all built in. So that's really kind of how the secret sauce is really that connection between the lead generation part and the follow-up. That's what I've found is that the reason I called Real Nurture is I looked at the pain points of the industry and the problems after working with top brokers for the first 2 years while we were developing, and then we developed Real Nurture over the last 18 months. I noticed that yes, there are thousands of leads coming into all these agents all the time, but what happens after that? Real estate is one of the longest sales cycles of even enterprise sales, right? Like enterprise B2B is like a year or 2 out. Well, a real estate transaction, some people are 3 months out. 3 years out. So with that being said, I think the secret sauce really is, yes, to generate the lead, but then to have really effective follow-up and retargeting in place, which we do. So we generate the lead, but then without the agent even contacting them, say they call them a couple times, no one picks up. The lead is automatically on multiple channels followed up with for over a year. So from that first moment that they see the agent's brand, now they're going to continue to see him through Facebook Messenger, through SMS text messages, through email. And it's all value-based. It's educational, it's value-based, it's branded to that agent. And then also retargeting on social media. So not only on the messaging platforms, but then when they go back to Instagram, when they go to Facebook later, 90 days from now, there's a whole cascading series of retargeting that's ready for them. So it's I think that's the biggest key in conversion and actually converting online leads is staying in front of them and having the appearance of having a really big brand. And you can do that for much less expensive than you would think, much less than you think.
So when you say that your system is $200 a month, and then so the $300 extra would be going towards generation, I'm telling you right now, I have too many systems already, right? I have KV Core, I have all kinds of different follow-up type stuff. So does your system integrate into that, or do I have to learn a whole nother system, a whole nother set of tools, and then now I'm focusing on your system and taking time away from KV Core that I'm spending all kinds of money on? So how do you integrate? How does it even work?
Great question. So will there be a learning curve? Yes. Of course there will be. But we do integrate with KV Core. So we're not trying to replace your CRM. We, integrate with LionDesk, KV Core, Follow Up Boss, basically anything that Zapier can integrate with, we can help you integrate. And what happens is all the conversations on Facebook Messenger happen through your Facebook page. And then if you want to review and check the SMS text and all that stuff, then you do have an online portal to do that. But the real value is that when the lead gets to the point where they're ready, say they have achieved a certain lead score, because we score leads based on engagement. Is this lead engaging with the things we're sending out? If yes, then we increase the lead score. If no, then we maintain the lead score at the same rate it was prior. And that then would not trigger a following integration. So without getting too lost in the weeds on that, the answer is we did not want to add another platform to worry about. The whole purpose of doing this for top brokers was so that they would bring us on and they would just start getting more appointments and incoming phone calls. Like, that was the point. So with that in mind, we still have that system, and we help individual agents set it up too. So automated scheduling, where literally the lead can go through, schedule an appointment, look at some listings, interact with the chatbot, and then automatically schedule to your calendar at a time that's already available to you. I mean, that level of boom, boom, boom. And then, you're meeting with someone that to this point, they know you, but you haven't even had a conversation with them yet. It's really slick.
So let's talk about automatic scheduling, because I'm telling you right now, I am terrified to do automatic scheduling because I don't want to end up looking like an idiot. Like, my schedule changes hour by hour, day by day. And, like, I'll be talking to somebody on the phone. It's very important. I've been waiting to schedule this appointment. And then if I'm using automatic scheduling and I tell them, yeah, I'm cool for Thursday at noon, because I already know I don't have anything. Now I do have something. Like, do you recommend that everybody uses an automatic scheduler? And if you do, then what are some of the tips you can use to, to be good at automatic scheduling, not overbooking yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm actually about to do an entire training about planning and scheduling, because that, after attending so many high-level masterminds, has been one of the biggest topics of productivity and success, is really time blocking, single tasking, focusing on one thing at a time, and planning out, either the next week ahead or however you want to do it, the next day at a minimum, where your next day is like blocked out. As far as success with online scheduling, you don't have to do it. A lot of our top clients don't, because they have a receptionist that answers every call. She manages the Google Calendar that everyone has access to, and she's the automated scheduler, essentially. So for that type of business and structure, that's fine. You don't have to have some kind of online automatic calendar. However, for myself, for a lot of individual agents that we've worked with, they've found that it is nice to have, even if you don't schedule and you're not rigidly committed to that only. Like, if you're talking to a friend, you don't need to send them your automated scheduling calendar. You can still check it, see if you're available, and make plans through text or whatever. So you can do the same thing with prospects.
Go ahead. You want to grab a beer? No. I'll grab a beer. Check my calendar. Go ahead.
Yeah, check my calendar, book a time.
You'll lose friends pretty quick, I think.
Yeah, exactly. So for that type of interaction, no, it doesn't make sense. But for the level of interaction it does make sense is when you're dealing with a high volume of incoming traffic that you want to organize, and you want to let them qualify themselves. So what I mean by that is, you talked about, as a realtor and as a team leader, you're getting phone calls every freaking day from people selling you.
All the time.
Well, guess what's happening to someone who just had an expired? They're getting slammed with phone calls from realtors. So why not instead market to them, have them go through your lead funnel and opt in. Then once they opt in and they've already seen your brand, and then they realize, wow, this person really knows what they're talking about, this person has value to offer, they click and schedule on your calendar. That is so much different. And that's how I've built my business. I've had top brokers not only do an automated scheduling app, but fill out a short form, an application before talking to me. And the psychology of that is so different from me cold calling them and saying, hey, I really want to sell you something. And hey, no offense to cold calling, there's a whole art to that. But I chose to instead structure my business with an inbound strategy. I want people to come to me who are interested in working with me.
Yeah, it sounds fantastic, but you talk about an expired listing, right?
Yeah.
Expired listing, the art of expired listing is that you are going after somebody whose house literally just expired, and you have a very limited amount of time to get in contact with. When I teach expired listings to my agents, I mean, we want to be on the phone at 8:45 in the morning, 9 o'clock in the morning, the latest, to call these people because we want to be the first ones. And then the other thing is, and I'm spilling probably too much of the secret sauce, but I teach especially my newer agents, to everybody wants to go after the $500,000 listing, right? Like, go after the $75,000 listing because you're new. You need to build yourself up, and those people are going to be one of the last ones to be called. So you can be first to them and show them how important they are to you, and those are like some little tricks. But like, if you're going to do it online, how could you possibly find out how to market to an expired listing? Like, there's no algorithm for that. That's what I'm trying to say. There's just no algorithm to say, oh, so-and-so's house has sat on the market for a year, and I want to make sure that, they're advertised to like right as their house is expiring. Like, it just wouldn't work.
Yeah, I agree with you on that there's no exact algorithm. That is something that we looked into developing about a year ago with a top agent in Beverly Hills. And he does like a lot of expireds, a lot of stuff like that. And we were looking at some like network AI where it would be able to recognize how you could get introduced to them. And it ended up being kind of it was too big for a side project. That's like a main thing. Like, if you're going to found a company to do just that. So with that being said, you're right. I brought up the expired example of the phone call for that. It was an example. No, we don't have this perfect solution for expireds. So keep making.
So what you're hoping to do is you're hoping to build a brand presence so that when their house does expire, they're thinking of you, not the people that are calling them on the phone.
Yes, and also the whole point is to fill the top of the funnel. So if you think of a Zillow lead, because we brought this up earlier in the call, the Zillow lead, typically they're more bottom funnel, which means they're 1 to 3 months out, say. Usually.
Yeah, usually.
They're farther down the funnel. And then also there's usually like 5 other agents calling them because they didn't only click on your listing, but they also clicked on 5 others while they were searching at home. So with that being said, that's a more expensive lead because they're more bottom funnel. But if you go up higher in the funnel, where do people start their search? Online. And yeah, they might start it on Zillow and Redfin, but they also start searching on Google, and they start to take certain actions, which then indicate that they are starting to either research how to sell their house for top dollar or research how to buy a house in a certain neighborhood. Facebook has 5,000 data points for every person that's on there, and they only give marketers access to like a couple hundred. So if you let the algorithm do its thing and you know how to run paid advertising like we do, what happens is when people start to take those actions and they're visiting sites similar to Zillow and things like that, well, you can serve an ad to them. So if this person was doing like a home valuation tool or doing things like that, you could, prior to their expired, get them into your funnel. We get people in the funnel all the time that have an agent, but they were looking at listings that we were offering, or they were looking at, a free home valuation tool to double check based on what they had just gotten an appraisal for. And so all those are new top of funnel leads or mid funnel leads that are in your network now.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I had to call you out because there's nothing for expired listings specifically. So you're just trying to build the brand presence. You're trying to make awareness. You're trying to get people to click so that someday when they are, because they might be in your funnel and then they still hire another agent because they have a relationship and that agent doesn't sell their house, and then now you're that next person top of mind because they see your marketing, they see your brand. And that's what you're hoping for in the expired listing categories, to get them already thinking you're their next guy after Aunt Susie doesn't sell their house, because Aunt Susie's a part-time agent who doesn't know what she's doing. So
precisely.
Yeah. Okay.
And for you to have everything set up to where you look like you are the most professional act in town.
So I just went through this back in late 2019, to where I was going through how do we, reevaluate where we're spending our money and what do we invest in. And obviously one of the things that has been brought up numerous times from, we call them advisors with our company, but our agents are, they wanted CRMs, they wanted, systems and stuff like that. So you seem to integrate with a lot of them. What are some tips that you can do to choose the right CRM for your business? And then also, Out of all the CRMs that are out there, which one impresses you the most, or which maybe 2 or 3 impress you the most?
Sure. So the first question before like the suggested CRMs was how to maximize them.
Yeah, like, you know how to choose. Like what are some of the things you should look for when choosing a CRM?
Okay, you should look for the focus on phone numbers. So many CRMs were created 8, 10, I mean, even some like longer, like 12, 15 years ago. I don't want to name any names, but some of them are outdated. Their code is old. Their philosophies are old. You need to be focusing on mobile first marketing. Newer CRMs and more cutting edge ones that have either have more funding and they got updated or they're just new, they focus on SMS text follow-up. That's where it's at. So if your CRM isn't really focusing on phone numbers, like for example, some CRMs with a integration, they require email. Others require phone number. That seems like a small difference. And I'll tell you some that require one or the other. But that's a big difference because in one of our short form leads, if one of our agents wants higher volume, then we don't take them through a multiple question real estate chatbot flow. We just say, okay, Facebook Messenger subscription, phone number, integrate with the CRM. Here's the catch. If you try and do that same funnel where it's high volume and we can still now follow up with them and with the most effective multi-channel technology, that integration would fail to an old CRM like Top Producer because guess what? They require email. So that's one thing to really note and focus on is like, think about how you communicate with others, right? You're texting all the time. So really you want to be focused on like, does the email offer SMS automation, a focus on SMS is text messages, and then like a focus on phone numbers as the primary source of contact. So that would be, I guess, like the number one criteria. And then as far as some really good ones, I'll give you my top 3 in no particular order because they really depend upon your budget as well. Some of these are really expensive. Sync, Commission Sync, awesome. They focus on phone number only, leads, types, and things like that. FirePoint, also awesome. Has a lot of really cool technology for brokers and team leaders. Also, both of those are pretty pricey. And then the next tier, which is my favorite to integrate with, super easy, and really good follow-up is Follow Up Boss. So I'd say those 3 are my personal recommendation. And again, I integrate with these. I don't use them every single day, but I noticed that those have the most cutting edge technology of the ones that I have integrated with. And I got to give a shout out to my boy, Joshua Smith. Perfect Storm is also a really good one. I don't know if you guys know about that, but it's specifically a real estate CRM that's come up in the last couple of years. And same thing. It has like SMS automation. It's very cutting edge, nice user interface. So of course the first 3 I mentioned have been around for a while. They're big, but if you're looking for more of a like startup style where you get like additional support potentially and things like that, Perfect Storm is also really good.
Very cool. I mean, how much can an agent, like for instance, obviously I've talked about KV Core. That's who we've subscribed to. If an agent wanted KV Core, they have to spend like $500 a month on it. What would a good budget be for a real estate agent to have their own CRM if they didn't want to integrate with their brokerage's CRM?
I mean, it depends on so many factors. What's this agent at as far as sales? Honestly, if you're under like 10 transactions a year, then I would use everything that your brokerage offers for free. Seriously. And then if you're like, between 10 and 40 transactions and you're starting to kind of level up in the game, sure, go spend a couple $100 on your favorite CRM. But I'll tell you, there are CRMs outside of the real estate world that are incredible and free. So to give a shout out to the one that I use personally for my agency, HubSpot is incredible. They have an amazing free CRM and you can mold it into anything you want. And so with that being said, I wouldn't overlook the fact that, yeah, there are a million real estate CRMs, but there's also a million outside of real estate that are super good. So, if I were an agent, I'd use everything that my brokerage was giving me for my first and couple, like year, 18 months, depending on how long it took me to get to like 30 to 50 transactions consistently a year. And then I'd start to look at like, okay, I acknowledge what my brokerage has been using and what has worked for them. Now I want to optimize and scale myself and continue to grow. And I think there's that transition point where like you really need to not take for granted all of the systems that already exist within your brokerage. But then if you get to a point and you're one of the top producing agents, you can kind of now make your own way. Sure. Do some research, look at some CRMs. But here's the thing, you don't want to be buried with $500 a month for a CRM that isn't generating new opportunities when you don't have a lot of opportunities. The focus in the beginning is like, let's get deals coming in. Let's get so busy that I need a CRM to organize it all, right? And that's, I think, really the first goal is like, let's get some sales under your belt. Let's focus on sales. I even had a question, you know, what should a brand new agent do for marketing? Like brand new, just got your license. I said, you should focus on sales. You should focus on, you should not pay for it because you're going to burn leads that you pay for. You should work with your broker. You should spend every day with your broker, do field training, go to listings with them if you can, like do everything, make phone calls in the office, be around that energy. Like you should really dive into what it takes to, because that test you just took has nothing to do with your day-to-day life as a real estate agent. Nothing. So that's what I say to like a brand new. But, you know, then as I mentioned at the beginning, it really depends on what level you're at.
So I ask this question to everybody who comes on the show, and it's starting to become more and more important, especially with things like COVID-19 going on and everything. What are your thoughts about technology, and how do you see it affecting the real estate business going forward? You know, do you see us leaning more towards virtual showings, Matterport type stuff in the future? Do you feel like eventually it's the online platforms like Zillow who are trying to put us out of business are eventually going to succeed? Do you think iBuyers is the future? What's your opinion?
All right, broad topic and a good one. So technology is here to stay. It's not something that you can do without in your business. And really that's the whole point of what we did with STEEZY.digital is we acknowledge that these top 1% brokers are incredible at real estate, but they needed help upgrading their technology and automation. And so with that being said, you can empower yourself with the same technology that like Zillow and Redfin and Opendoor are using to try and replace you. You can empower yourself with it. And that's our mission with STEEZY.digital and Realtor.io. Our mission is to empower 100,000 agents with technology, and in the process impact millions of home buyers and sellers. Because with Zillow and Redfin and Opendoor and all these iBuyers out there, I've heard so many stories of sellers getting burned, selling their house for way under market, and that affecting then the local area's house prices, because now that's a comp, right? That comp was sold 10, 15% under, and guess what happens then at the next sale in that neighborhood and the next sale. So there's that aspect of it. But then there's also the emotional aspect of, you know, one of my clients, actually, he's an international client. He said, as a realtor, I'm 10% a sales rep, 90% a psychologist, and I only get paid for the sales part. So that's how he kind of explains his commission when people say like, oh, why 3% or why, you know, whatever. And so with that, you can't get the same level of local insight, of industry experience, of just interpersonal communication and support. I mean, a realtor is such an important aspect in the sales cycle. So I believe that realtors are here to stay. I don't think that Zillow and Redfin and Opendoor are just going to sweep the whole world and take over. They'll take a certain percentage of the market. The people that really want that level of solution and what have you, but I think it's going to maintain a small percentage of the super, you know, innovative type of like first early adopter, cutting edge people. Like that's what 97, 98% of the rest of the market are still going to want agents. And then it comes down to how accessible are you? How visual are you online? You could be the best agent in town, but if no one sees you, if they look you up and Google you, you have nothing online, you have no reviews, guess who they're going to go with? Johnny new rep who's good at digital marketing.
Okay.
So you really, it is a big piece of the puzzle. You have to be on these online platforms, and it doesn't have to take your entire life and like eat up every single second of every single day in order to do that. And that really comes down to knowing what lever to pull in sequence. So what I mean by that is goes back to what level you are as an agent, and knowing like, okay, once I get to a certain level, I need to get help with an assistant or some kind of marketing director, and moving up. It's the same thing as knowing like, when do I introduce a new CRM if that's one of my goals? When do I introduce paid advertising if that's one of my goals? And when do I add this $500 a month from Real Nurture, right? If that's one of my goals, do I need to get to a higher level before doing that? Am I ready now? Really knowing what sequence, not doing things out of order. I think that's also a really, really important part to scale.
Well, in our business, you got to spend money to make money too. I mean, there are free ways to do business, but you also have to reinvest and pay if you want to grow your business. How important is goal setting?
Goal setting is paramount. Goal setting, also there's an art and a science to it. So goals are dreams with deadlines. That's what Eric Gilman, my good friend from Cutco, said a long time ago. It always stuck with me. When you set a goal, Tony Robbins talks about SMART goals. Something, I hope I can remember the acronym, right? Specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and on a timeline. Yeah, right? A SMART goal.
You got it better than I did. My business coach is shaking his head when he's listening to this. I can guarantee that.
Those are the types of goals that can expand you and push you to continue to grow and achieve. Because without a goal, without a vision, you are either going to maintain or go back down to where you were before. And in The Slight Edge, Jeff Olson talks about it. It's the success roller coaster and the success cycle of you all of a sudden like do a ton of action and it creates success, and you get up to here and you stop doing all the things that got you that success, and guess where you go? Right back down to where you were before. And then you're like, oh crap, I'm on the verge of losing my car, bankruptcy or whatever. And then you get this motivation again to go back up. Goals save you from that. If you set a goal to get to this level, and then immediately when you accomplish it, you now restructure, increase that goal, and you set it again for that next month, that next year to be 30%, 50%, 100% higher than the previous year, you're always shooting for something in the future. And it saves you from that entrepreneurial roller coaster of ups and downs, ups and downs, ups and downs. The one thing I can say about goals, because this is an entire talk in and of itself, is you have to break it down to one key productivity indicator. You have to break it down to one activity. On realnurture.io, we actually have the ultimate goal setting framework for real estate. It breaks down your total income goal for the year, or your total transactions, or your total, however you measure it, GCI, whatever you want. Breaks it down to the number of phone calls you need to make, the number of, if you measure it by open houses, the number of open houses you have to do. If you measure it by appointments set, the number of appointments you have to set. And then it breaks it down to not the total year, but month, week, day. So then you can also weight it like, well, summer's more busy. That's where I do 40% of my business. You put in 40%, boom, it says, this is how many appointments you need to be setting, or this is how many phone calls you need to make during summer to hit your goal of 30% growth and doing 20 million next year in real estate. So you have to break it down to one activity. That's the whole point with that, is you have to break it down to, like, for example, at Cutco, it was phone calls. It's nice to for this push period right here, this trophy that I'm pointing at, for those of you that are listening to just audio, it's behind me hanging on the wall. That means I sold $15,000 worth of Cutco in 2 weeks. The average order is $250. So that's a lot of sales in a 2-week period of time. It's a summer sales competition. And when we would do these push periods, at the beginning, the week prior, it's called challenge week. You'd get this momentum rolling up into the push weeks. And that's where you'd set your goals. Well, we didn't just say, I want to push really hard. I knew to the phone call how many phone calls I needed to make in that challenge week and in that 2 weeks to hit that goal based on my average order, my average closing ratio, my average calls to appointments set, my average appointments to then closes based on my closing ratio and average order. And then you break it down to that goal. So the whole point is you got to have one number. I knew that if I made 42 calls a day, I'd hit the goal. And then you can focus on actions. You don't have to focus on results and get emotionally bummed out or emotionally excited and overexcited, and then your actions slack. You can just focus on the actions. 42 calls a day, 42 calls a day, 42 calls a day. That's the biggest secret with goals, is break it down to the one thing.
I love it. I love it. So you had to have had a mentor to get you to where you're at right now. Who is your mentor and how did they help you?
Oh man, I have a list of them.
A list?
I mean,
nice.
Yeah, so many. So I heard a concept from Darren Hardy to invest 10% of your income in yourself every year, no matter what your income is. So when you make $1 million a year, that means you got to find a way to spend $100,000 on yourself in personal development. It becomes a feat once you get, into the later levels of success. So I've had, Hal Elrod was one of the first ones. I did some coaching from him. He is Miracle Morning, and he recently spoke on the Lab Coat Agents webinar. Then from there, I did, throughout college, I was going to Cutco sales conferences, and I heard talks from Les Brown. I heard talks from Matthew Kelly. I heard, I had a lot of mentors within Cutco as well. Top reps like Eric Gilman, and then reading books by like John Vroman and all these top legendary Cutco reps. And then after Cutco, I continued to invest in personal development because now it was a habit. I noticed that when I invested in myself, my income increased, my happiness increased, my impact increased. And so I kept investing in myself. And I was invited by a friend to go to a Tony Robbins conference. Yes, let's do it. Did that, went to Unleash the Power Within, walked on 2,000-degree colds, did the whole thing. And afterward, we were offered one free coaching session, right? Which is genius because the whole pitch is, hey, you're really excited during this 4-day event. You want to keep this momentum going and not just let this be another conference you never, implement. Do our coaching. You get one free call. So I did the free call, and then I booked 18 months of coaching with one-on-one, like every 7 to 10 days, having a Tony Robbins certified coach. So it wasn't Tony. He's like $1 million a year to have personally coach you, but it was, a certified coach, and they personally matched me based on my interests with someone who was great for me. And I ended up working with him for 2.5 years. Every 7 to 10 days, boom, accountability call, coaching call, and specific to what I'm doing. That's how I learned some of these techniques. And but then it was really just accountability. And then from there, I realized, okay, I need to continue to grow, and I need to grow specific to marketing and technology. So then I invested in the traffic and funnels training, which is amazing, by Chris and Taylor. They live out on the East Coast in like South Carolina. I think they're based out of Nashville, Tennessee now. And they were specific to like booking clients online, like having automated scheduling, having like inbound marketing. And that was really like, once I got into my marketing agency and was looking to level up in that realm, I got coaches specific to that realm that had what I wanted, that were actual practitioners and actually were like young guys in their early 30s that had achieved the level of success in the world I was trying to get into that I wanted. So I invested. I paid to have them coach me and consult me. And it's just, do you notice a theme? Every year, year after year, I continue, no matter what I'm doing, no matter what I'm focusing on, to invest in myself in that area. And the mentorship will never stop.
The thing that I caught most about that is that you were trying to find somebody younger who, kind of knew today's business. Because I actually went to a seminar where a real estate coach was doing a seminar, and he's I'm not going to say names, but very popular real estate coach. And you could tell like his trainings and his systems were based on 1990s and early 2000s. Like they're, and even the stuff that was integrated to look like, to work with like Facebook and stuff was nowhere near where it needed to be. Like it was like Facebook from, 7 years ago or whatever. So
Right.
Facebook's changing so much on a daily basis. I mean, you have to stay up on that. I'm a big fan of trying to figure out how to do work-life balance. So how do you balance work and life?
Great question. Work-life balance is a myth. Have you ever heard that?
I have heard that, yeah, but nobody's told me that when I ask him about it.
Yeah, work-life balance is a myth, ladies and gentlemen. It's something that we have been designed to think about based on corporate America, because basically they want us to be employees and have good work-life balance and this and that. The reality is that you'll spend more time with people that you work with than your family. So work-life balance is a complete myth, but having overall balance in your life and focusing on, I think what's more important is energy. What tasks give you energy? What tasks, when you finish them, you are lit up and you are more energetic, more focused, more excited than when you started? And what tasks drain your energy, right? With that in mind, don't schedule 4 things that drain your energy first thing Monday morning. That's going to crush your momentum for the whole week. So I think that's the more important way to look at it, is a little bit more metaphysical. And you got to do some introspection to realize authentically what gives you energy and what takes it away. But that's so much more important, because focusing on trying to like to the minute shut off work and start life and like these are separate. And if you're doing great work, work is your life. And then you have other things that are important to you, like contribution, your family. I mean, the list goes on. I mean, I believe that success is measured much more by what you give back than what you gain or what income. It's all about impact ultimately. So if you're doing great work, that is your life. But with that being said, you got to also realize like, okay, I'm starting to burn out on this one topic. I need to switch gears, re-energize. And that's different for everyone. Meditation, camping, hiking, surfing, whatever it is for you that really like recharges you, like clears out the mental stuff, you can then come back with a fresh approach. Darren Hardy said, hey, you want to be more productive? Take more time off. Literally, like so many entrepreneurs, especially, real estate agents at a high level, it's so easy to work 7 days a week for extended periods of time. And then you experience burnout. My biggest fear as an entrepreneur is burnout. So I have to like peel myself away sometimes, because I'll just work. I'll just like 10 p.m. I'm doing a new launch or a product or whatever. And, my girlfriend's like, hey, let's go watch the TV and just chill out. There's so many times when I need to realize and break away. So if you're struggling with work-life balance, realize that everyone struggles with work-life balance. But I would say just focus more on energy, like what gives you energy, what takes it away, and balancing those two.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely one of those people that if I didn't have a wife and kids, I could probably work 24/7, 365, and I don't even know if I'd get burned out. I mean, I don't get burned out when I'm working. I get burned out when I'm at home, and like I was probably a hot mess over the last 45 days when I couldn't work, right?
Right.
Yeah, it's definitely something. Everybody treats it a little differently, but I love some of the things you said there. Okay, I'm going to ask you what your retirement looks like. And, I'm going to guess you're probably around my age, so you're a long ways away from retirement. But with that, I just want to know, what do you think your retirement looks like? And then how often do you think about retirement?
Good question. I set a goal to retire by the time I was 30, when I was 16.
Okay.
I'm 29.
Are you going to retire when you're 30?
We'll see if I'm able to scale Real Nurture to the point where I want it to be, then I'll be close. I don't know if I'll retire by 30, but I also said I want to make $1 million in a single year before I'm 30. So I'm closer to that than retirement. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I mean, at this point, through all my personal development, I've learned, hey, you need to be thinking about the future in a retirement type of mindset of, they don't have pensions anymore. They just pay you 80% of your salary for the rest of your life. It's just not a thing. So you're going to need, I mean, and Tony Robbins, his book, Money, it was a great book about putting the responsibility on us. It was also, yeah, it was a volume. It was like a Lord of the Rings, like the final Lord of the Rings book thick. It was just ridiculous. But it was awesome. And I loved it. I ended up buying it. No, I got it for free at the Tony Robbins conference. And then I bought the audio because I love audiobooks, and that's how I was able to get through it.
I have the audio. It was like 9.5 hours long. It was
yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. Even on like 1.5 speed. Yeah. So amazing principles in that. And it reminded me that, look, no one's looking out for you. So you got to look out for you as far as like your financial future. Like, for example, the pension, when they switched over to the 401k, everyone's like, oh, I got a 401k. Okay, cool. What are you doing with that 401k? What is it actually diversified into? Are you spread out into the right type of asset allocation? Is based on your age, your risk aversion, and your level of income and anticipated income, are you set up to over compound interest and over the next 30 years achieve your goal? And so really thinking about that, I started investing years ago in maxing out my Roth IRA. That was prior to making $125,000 a year. That was the number one thing that I could do as a tax shelter and as a future retirement, because then when you have the Roth, you're taxed on the seed of the investment. You're taxed now. And the value is that then later when you pull out of this retirement and it's grown to this huge oak from a small little acorn, you're not taxed on that. But that's only available when you're making under 125,000. So every year that I was making less than that, I maxed out my Roth IRA, 5,500, 5,500, 5,500, 5,500. And that was just the first step. Okay, $500 a month, essentially, I need to be putting to pay me. I need to pay myself first, and having that mindset. So my retirement even now is decent for being 29, but it's still nowhere that I want it to be. So I'm going to continue to stack that up. I have one of the things that Tony talked about in Money is working with a fiduciary instead of an advisor. So I have a fiduciary that I work with, and just the difference in that, guys, if you haven't heard about this, then go listen to Money by Tony Robbins. He talks about just having a financial fiduciary that's more invested in growing your portfolio rather than like having control over your money and moving it around so that they can make a commission. So that's kind of like the difference there. But right now, my retirement is it's decent. It's diversified. It's a lot into the S&P just because I believe in what they said in Money, and I'm not actively day trading and managing it, and I'm not paying Ray Dalio to manage it either. So with that being said, like my best bet probably is the S&P over any long period of time, and just having the compound interest reinvested into it and stacked on top of it over 30, 40 years. And then boom, like later it's going to be huge. So that's the basic strategy. And then I work stocks and I do some of that stuff on my own. I just have like Robinhood, and by the way, stocks are amazing right now because COVID tanked the market and then everything's recovering. So I've been making
a really good 30 days here in the stock.
Yeah. My last 30 to 45 days have been incredible on personal day trading and stuff. So, just having your finger on the pulse. I think it's a responsibility thing. No one wants to sit here and learn financial literacy. Most people, like if you're not a finance major, you don't want to learn that stuff. But just understand that you have to. Like it's not an option, because you will forever be hamstringed by either people taking advantage of you or you making wrong decisions and not knowing it. And that's just going to really impact your future. So, and your children's future and their children's future. Because I'm thinking legacy. I want to leave a legacy behind. I want to set up my next 3 generations of my family. And that's the type of impact and scale that I'm thinking. So with that being said, like you need to be the the manager and commander and executor of that whole vision. And without the financial piece, it's not going to become a reality. You just can impact more people with money. And so I really focused about 5 years ago on, okay, I need to learn this. This is an area of mastery that I need to master. And, you know, it begins with a single step, like that first step into reading money, or doing the Dave Ramsey 7 steps to get, just the first steps getting out of debt, or whatever phase you're in, taking that first step towards the future you want. I think that's the important part.
And you don't even have to be an expert at all. I mean, you know, I think it was, I can't remember who the guy who challenged, Warren Buffett to, Warren Buffett said, I'll bet anybody $1 million that the S&P 500 will beat their investment strategy over a 10-year span. And somebody bet him and they lost. So it's, you know, if you really just want to take the science and learning out of it, I mean, you could literally just throw your money in the stock market. It's better than leaving it in your bank account, you know, and that's something that you can definitely do to improve your future. When it comes to retirement, I think that from what I can see, you're a very motivated person like I am, so you're probably never going to retire.
Right.
You might have a retirement from what you're currently doing, but then you're just going to create something else that you're going to end up doing. It seems to be what entrepreneurs end up doing. So I'm hoping to someday spend a little bit more time on my golf game, since it's absolutely horrible right now.
Okay. I like it.
This is going to be a good one, and you can use whatever, you know, if you want to go back to your Cutco days or whatever you want to do. Tell us the funniest story from your career.
Oh gosh, funniest story. That's a thinker. I mean, you really surprised me with this. Like, for all the listeners out there, this isn't scripted, so I really need to come up with something on the spot here. The funniest story. I'm thinking if it's going to be Cutco, or if it's going to be like the marketing agency, or, you know, what it's going to be. Probably Cutco. I think, I mean, there's so many flashing in my head. I think the funniest story would be, I'm giving a talk at a conference, and this is Cutco. I had kind of left for about a year and then came back post college, and I started to get back into sales with Cutco first before doing anything like that. You know, April or whatever, before summer hit and we got real busy, I was just like, okay, I need to call some past customers and sell some knives. Let's do this. So after taking time off, you lose your edge, right? No pun intended, but you lose the quickness, the scripts, everything just kind of goes to the back of your brain, and you can't think on the fly as quickly. So I make this terrible phone call, like barely get the appointment, only because she was a past customer and she needed something. And so I like show up. I'm all nervous. I don't know why. I'd already been like a top rep and like recruited hundreds of agents and done all this stuff, but I have that like new rep nervousness, and I show up. But, you know, some of my coaching and mentorship had come through. So I was like, all right, ultimate upgrade, which is like basically if you could take someone from like a basic set to the biggest set in a service call, that's the goal, is to get in what's called an ultimate upgrade. I'm like, ultimate upgrade is going to be like a $1,400 order. She only has like an essential set, whatever, and I'm like painting the vision and creating the reality. I walk in, completely stumble through, cut myself like as I'm sharpening. I nick my finger and I'm bleeding everywhere. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And she gets me a paper towel and it's just crazy. And I cut myself on the spatula spreader, by the way, which isn't even like a knife. It's like a spatula with an edge. But anyway, the only thing I sold her was one table knife for $29.
You hit a home run there, huh?
Yeah. And fast forward to like after summer, where I had this $15,000 push period, and you know, I had like gotten my edge back and like achieved success again. I'm giving this talk at this conference, and I get to that point in the story and I say, and she only bought one table knife, and everyone's dead quiet. There's like 1,000 reps in the room. And then the clincher, the line that sealed it, I was like, she needed it. And everyone just erupts in laughter. It was like, it like broke the awkwardness of like, oh wow, he had almost a no sale, you know, or whatever. And it was just a really comical like first step back. And I think the learning lesson is, no matter how like funny or awkward or like terrible certain situations seem in the moment, especially when it comes to like work or, you know, life, a lot of times you can just laugh about it later and it'll be some of like the fondest memories. So
yeah, absolutely. And it's a learning experience, you know. It's definitely something that you're going to be a little more careful when you're sharpening that spatula next time, right?
I know. So funny.
All right, so we're almost done here. I'm going to get through we have 5 questions I ask every guest that comes on the show. They are a little bit in the real estate realm, but you're somewhat in the real estate realm too. So what's your favorite technology tool?
Well, got to say my own, right? So,
you know, God, I'm talking about something you use every day. Maybe it's an app on your phone. Maybe it's something that keeps you motivated.
okay. I like that. I like that. I'll go the motivational route. So, there is an app called Motivate, and I have a pretty strict morning formula. It's my vision and my morning routine that I go through every morning. And so part of that is like looking at my dream board, reading my vision, etc. But while I'm just like making my morning shake that's going to give my body nutrients, and while I'm like doing those simple processes of getting ready prior to doing my morning reading and things of that nature, I go to the Motivate app. So Motivate, they used to have a free version, and now I think it's only paid, but it's like $6 a month, and it gives you every day 5 new motivational videos. You can start to save them and save your favorites. And so now I have a library of favorites that if I'm feeling off that morning or whatever it is, woke up on the wrong side of the bed, I can instantly get back into the right mindset and scroll through all these favorite videos. And so it's essentially like going to like Goalcast on YouTube or following like a motivational Instagram, except it's a little bit more polished. It's like, it's worth the $6 a month for me to be able to go there instantly, get, you know, 3 motivational quotes a day, push to my phone, do my morning routine. And it really sets my mornings off on the right foot.
I love that. I'm going to have to check it out. I personally, one app that I really, really love, and I haven't talked about it, I don't think show it all, is called Habits.
Okay.
It's literally just a little reminder tool that just pops up on your phone. You tell it when to pop up. And did you read your book today? Did you, like one thing I've been focused on a lot this year is my health. I'm down about almost 40 pounds year to date.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's great. And I have my app to thank for it because it, you know, I was using a tracking system at first to, you know, stay on track with what I'm eating, how much I'm working out, stuff like that. And I would just have reminders throughout the day. Did you track your workout? Did you track your food? Did you track your, you know, your water intake, all that stuff? And so it's amazing, you know, we talk about technology and it can really be your friend if you utilize it right.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's your favorite real estate book?
Ooh, good question. I mean, it's got to go back to the classic, Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
That is a classic. Although I have a beef to talk about with Robert Kiyosaki if I ever talk to him, and that's that never once in his book did he talk about what happens if the world shuts down for 45 days, right?
And you have an investment property empire, and
when you have, you know, 50, 60, 70 units, and you know, like now you're calling and negotiating with banks trying to get, you know, extensions on your payments and stuff.
Because all your tenants want extensions and you can't evict them. And
it's crazy. I mean, which again, nobody ever thought that would ever happen, right? So
not even the legend.
I read
Robert Kiyosaki.
15. I think my brother gave it to me when I was 15. He was in the military. So you got to read this book, and it changed my whole outlook on life, right?
Me too. I read it in high school, and it blew me away.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely amazing. If you haven't read it, you got to read it. If you were not in the digital marketing realm, what would you be doing?
Good question. So if I was not in the digital marketing realm, I would be making music full time. So after college, after my like business and marketing and all that focus, I went to school for music production. And I've always loved music. So, I can actually like mix and master and write music and do that. So that's part of the quote unquote retirement plan. Retirement for me isn't sitting on the beach and just vegging out. Retirement for me is now focusing on like the true passion, the number one, and having the financial resources to do that. So yeah, I mean, I would work with top artists. I would create music that actually has meaning and impact, and have that as part of my legacy. Be able to focus on it. So, I don't give it the love and the time that it deserves now, but I still consistently chip away at it. I time block it a couple hours a week. I just, I keep it fresh and I keep working on my craft. And then, once I'm ready and I can really dedicate tons of time to it, that's when I see that scaling to a higher level.
I actually keep a Google Note, I guess, what do they call it? Keep? Is that what it's called? I just keep a little notepad with digital notepad with a bunch of ideas. And because if not, I'll let ideas take me down a rabbit hole, right? So if I get an idea, I just stick it on that pad, and then if the day ever comes that I'm just no longer in real estate or I need something different, I'm going to go to that pad and pick an idea. But that's my one thing that I just like you, I'm sure I have at least a handful of things there that I'm going to be focused on someday.
Yeah, you and I are the same. I had 46 business ideas written down in high school. Like, these should exist. These are like products or innovations or whatever. And like some of them have actually then, the story always goes, I thought of that.
Yeah.
I actually have like a written down list of all these things. And yeah, you and I are the same in that.
It kills me a little bit because I'm like, somebody's going to think of this and then I'm going to be mad. But it is what it is.
It does help to put it down on paper and just be like, okay, it's out of my head.
Outside of work, what's your favorite hobby?
Surfing. So I golf too. So I just yesterday hit around with my buddy, but I've started to focus on golf more in the last couple of years, but surfing is the sport that I chose to continue. So I grew up, I am blessed and grateful to have grown up in Southern California. So the weather is amazing year round. And I was able to be on the surf team in my high school, which is just like unheard of and ridiculous for like most parts of the world. And I'm super grateful for that. So surfing, I also did motocross and I also did baseball and like a bunch of other things. But I realized pretty early on, like the dream of being a Major League Baseball player, I'm quitting, like I'm burnt out on it. I'm over it. And then motocross, I broke 11 bones without even racing. I just, from motocross and just going with my friends and being a teenager, I crashed a ton and broke 11 bones. So I was like, if I'm going to continue a sport that really lights me up into my adult life, I think I'm going to do surfing because I've pretty much never been hurt. Like one time I had a fin slice my foot and I got 7 stitches. One time in my entire life. I've been surfing for over 20 years. So yeah, that's my big like side sport passion focus is like tomorrow waves are 5 to 6 foot in Huntington Beach. I'm going out tomorrow morning first thing.
I'm a little jealous because in Pittsburgh it's like you got maybe like hockey, the wintertime sport, that's about all we got to keep us busy in the wintertime. But
right,
what's your dream vacation?
Dream vacation, man, I just took it. I like to really live places when I go like vacation. I don't like to binge vacation. So I relocated, spent 4 months in Bali, Indonesia. And I had to leave a little early because of coronavirus, but we were still able to get 2.5 months in. My girlfriend came and we both went out there and I was able to surf, manage my company, live in an incredible tropical environment. I already had some friends there. So that was pretty much the dream vacation, and I just took it. So I need to come up with a new one now and put that on my dream board and check that off next.
That's awesome, man. I love it. Well, hey, Jeff, I really appreciate you coming on. This is actually quite a bit longer than a normal podcast, but we just had a lot of great topics, and I enjoyed picking your brain a little bit. So where can people find out more about you?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, and I really appreciate it. And they can find out about me online, of course. Look up STEEZY.digital if you're a broker. Look up Realtor.io if you're an agent. And for me personally, LinkedIn or Facebook is what I prefer. So if you want to look me up on Facebook, Jeffrey Brogger. I'm sure you can double check the spelling based on this this podcast episode and everything. But yeah, I'd love to connect. If you're a digital agency out there and you're looking for some guidance, we let agencies white label our stuff. We don't believe in competition. We believe in collaboration. So, if you want to white label us, that's fine. If you want to be a realtor that's using our product, if you're a broker who wants some consulting, we sometimes offer consulting and then we don't even implement it. We just hand it off to the marketing coordinator or director. Or if you want us to manage it, just let us know. Happy to help. And you can find us online.
Awesome, Jeff. Hey, thanks for stopping by, and you have yourself a good day.
Thank you. Appreciate it. You too. Take care.
Wow, that was a lot longer than our normal podcast. I think we went about 45 minutes past normal, but it was just some really great content. As you can see, he's just a great motivated person who really knows what he's doing and talking about. And, hopefully you guys learned something from this episode. If you want to hit me up on social media, at Ian S. Hoover on just about every platform. Until then, this is Ian Hoover with the Realtor Nation podcast signing off.